Hi, welcome to Web of Stories. My name is Melinda. I am here to talk about things that aren't books, and this is the third time now I have filmed this video. The first time I was just, which I filmed a couple days ago, I was just a little too excited and it's a little too frantic. The second time was just minutes ago, and I totally forgot things in it, and I can't figure out how to go back and edit them to put them in. So we're just doing this over. Third time's a charm, right? So anyway, let's get to it. A week or so ago, Katie at Books and Things did a video on her favorite musicals, and I was so excited because I love musicals. I was a theater kid. I was the weirdo who listened to cast albums instead of the radio. If you don't know who Laura Benanti is, she's a musical theater actress. She also plays Melania Trump on this Late Show with Stephen Colbert. She has a song called I Like Musicals, about being the weirdo in high school who listens to musicals, and that was me. So I love musicals. But I'm not someone who can see a lot of them because I don't live in New York or, another metropolitan area that has a lot of productions. We do have touring productions. We do have regional productions. But, I can't see all those. But I do love musicals. So I thought I need to do this video as well. I know Charlotte at Queenie Reads has done it. I have yet to see her video because I think it's the next one in my queue, but I will be seeing it. So before I get into this, I will say I am starting with two musicals that I have not seen that I want to see. And then I have two honorable mentions, and then I'll be doing my top 10. With the exception of the two that I haven't seen, obviously, I have seen staged productions of all of these. And I will kind of go into the staged productions that I saw, like where I saw it, if I have any thoughts about that particular production. Also, I will be sure to put the composer and the lyricist, or songwriter and the lyricist, I'll get to that one too, here, so you can see. Otherwise, I'll just forget to mention it. And I'll put the posters up here. So let me start with the two musicals I have not seen, but I do really want to. And the first one is one that I have been reluctant to see for quite some time because I thought it was something different than what it is. And that is Come From Away. I thought it was the 9/11 musical, and I'm like, I don't want a musical about 9/11. And yeah, it's set on 9/11. It is. But it's not the 9/11 musical. That's not what it's about. And I know that now. And now I want to see it. So I need to find a regional production or touring production. And there aren't any at the moment around me. But I think I have access to a pro shot. I think there's one streaming on something, one of my streaming services. So I could watch Come From Away. I might do it today. The second one is one that I want to see, but I want to see it with my daughter, which is why I haven't seen it yet. It has come through Portland, but when my daughter was too young really to see it, and now she is not. So now I'm just waiting for it to come through Portland again, or for some reason to find myself in New York, maybe in London. I think it might still be playing in London. I don't know. As I have mentioned on this channel many times, my daughter is cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs over Greek mythology. That girl, she loves her Greek mythology. So I would love to take her to see Hadestown. I have heard the music from it. I think she would really love it. She already knows the story because she knows all the stories. I remember when she was like 12 years old and telling her brother all the people who got raped in Greek mythology. That was like one of my best parenting moments. But anyway, I think she would really love it. So right now we're just waiting for the opportunity. I do know that there has been a pro shot made of Hadestown. I don't think it's available yet. Okay, my two honorable mentions. The first one is one that is here because I really loved my experience seeing this musical, but that's my entire connection to this, is that one time I've seen it. I don't have the cast album. I don't really remember the music well enough to pick it out if I heard a song, but the experience was so wonderful. So a couple of years ago, I had season tickets to Broadway in Portland, which is the touring productions. So I had tickets to a bunch of other shows. We saw some stinkers. Let me tell you, The Bodyguard, terrible musical. But one of the shows that was included in this was a musical I had heard of. I knew it had won the Tony for Best Musical and I think for Best Actor or Supporting Actor. And that's all I knew of it. I didn't know what it was about or anything. So my husband and I went to see it completely blind, and we had such a wonderful time. I would go see this musical again in a minute. It's just they don't do a lot of productions of it. And this is A Gentleman's Guide to Love and Murder. The story of this is there is a young man who realizes that he could inherit a huge fortune if like 8 or 9 people before him die. So he decides to kill them in very comical ways. And what's really funny is the 8 or 9 people he has to kill are all played by the same person, which I believe was David Hyde Pierce. In fact, I know it was David Hyde Pierce. And it is just a delightfully funny musical. I know why it's not produced very often. One is the music is very difficult. I just listening to it, you can tell that is difficult music for your average singer that you'd find in regional theater. And 2, the role of the people that keep getting killed, that's very difficult to play. So this is not something that amateur theater is going to be doing a lot of. But if you ever get a chance to see A Gentleman's Guide to Love and Murder, I highly recommend it. Okay, my second honorable mention is an honorable mention because I have seen the stage production of it, but it doesn't mean anything to me because this is a movie in my mind. And I think it's a movie in most people's minds. And I have a couple other like movies and musicals kind of comparisons on my list, but this one is such that the movie so overshadows the musical, the stage production, that it just is not a stage production in my mind, even though I have seen the stage production. And that is The Sound of Music. We've all seen it. We've all seen The Sound of Music. It's very meme-worthy, especially in the year of our Lord 2025, unfortunately. But nothing is ever going to top drunk Julie Andrews twirling around in the Austrian Alps. That's always going to be The Sound of Music. And the movie, you get extra songs, and the songs make more sense because some of the placements of the songs don't make a lot of sense in the musical, or maybe they don't because you know the movie. So that's my honorable mention. I don't feel like I can compare it here because all of my association with it, even though I have seen a stage production of it, touring production, same year we saw Gentleman's Guide to Love and Murder. My associations are not with that. It's with the movie. Okay, let's get to the top 10. Number 10. I'm the only person in this world who put this. I'm the only person who would put this musical in the top 10. And I don't even like the composer of this musical. In fact, I despise the composer of this musical, but I like this musical because it puts a smile on my face. I have seen children perform this musical. I have seen a regional theater production of this musical, which I will talk about. But the music is so catchy and it's just fun. And that is Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. And I've seen the pro shot with Donny Osmond. I don't know if that's a pro shot or a movie with Donny Osmond. I have very strong negative feelings for Andrew Lloyd Webber and his musicals, really. This one, though, is a very early musical of his. I think it's the second musical he wrote with Tim Rice. I do consider his first musicals to be Tim Rice musicals and not Andrew Lloyd Webber musicals. But I think because it was so early, it's missing a lot of his ego. Honestly, that's what it is. I think that you're just missing a lot of ego with this one. And that's why it's just innocent fun to me. And I took my family to see a regional theater production of it, a theater near us that does really good productions of things. I have one more show on this list that I saw a production of there. That production of this show, however, was not good. The reason why had nothing to do with Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. It had to do with the director. Now, the director of this production is very associated with this regional theater. He has directed a lot of productions. He's been in productions. And he's one of those people that has to put his own personal stamp on things, which is fine if you do it well. Now, some of it was just sort of sloppy. Like he added a bunch of jokes about, well, okay, those might have been a little anti-Semitic, about Jewish people in Israel. And he tied them to Moses. And my family was like, Moses didn't exist for hundreds of years after that. Like, what are they talking about? Because we are historical and we know this. Anyway, so there was that. That was a little annoying. But then he also added these weird sort of interlude jokes that were kind of like Groucho Marx-y, but it was even more played into some stereotypes of Jewish people, and to the point that they were clearly anti-Semitic. And I was like, I mean, that's not in the musical. This is not part of Joseph and the Amazing. This is something he put in. And then if that weren't enough, he added a scene where they are at a slave market, which Yeah, you could probably add a scene like that and still make it make sense because Joseph was sold as a slave, although that scene is not in the musical. He added that. And in this scene, he had the only African-American actress be sold. Yeah, so that was not a good production, but it was still a great, the cast was wonderful. I want to say that the cast was fantastic of this. You take those bits out of it, wonderful production, except for that. So anyway, that's Joseph. My kids love it. My son especially really loves it. Okay. Number 9 is a very sentimental musical for me, and a lot of these are sentimental, and I'll get to why. But this was the first musical I saw on Broadway. And this is Damn Yankees. I saw it when Jerry Lewis was Applegate. Jerry Lewis was not the highlight of that show. But if you don't know what Damn Yankees is, it's basically a Faustian, well, it isn't basically, it is a Faustian story. We are in mid-century America, and there is a middle-aged older couple who, this gentleman, the man in this, is a big fan of the Washington Senators, who is the old Washington, D.C. team. They don't exist anymore. But at the time they did. And they keep losing to the New York Yankees. Hence the song, Damn Yankees. And at one point, this gentleman is so mad that they keep losing, and he said, I'd sell my soul to help the team or something. And he says, I sold my soul to the devil to do this. And of course, this man appears, and he's like, you rang. And it's Applegate, that's the devil. And so they work out this deal where this gentleman sells his soul to the devil to become a young baseball player who can save the Washington Senators. But this man is a real estate professional, so he knows about escape clauses. So he works in an escape clause to this, which, you know, Applegate thinks, I'm Satan, I can go ahead and work through this. But he realizes pretty quickly that he's going to lose this guy due to this escape clause. So he brings out some of his weaponry, mostly in the name of Lola Banana. And it's just fun, big old-fashioned musical with big dance numbers, big song numbers, lots of comedy. But one thing, besides it being very sentimental because it was my first actual Broadway musical, what I do really like about it is the romantic female lead in this musical is an older woman. And you rarely see that now. And you never saw this in the 50s or 60s when this musical first came out. So yay for that. But I love Damn Yankees. It was so fun. Even though Jerry Lewis wasn't great. Okay, number 8 should be no surprise to you if you watch my channel, because you know I'm a Tudor girly, so of course you knew 6 was going to be here. I know 6 is just the same plot as Cats. I know that. I know that the portrayals of the queens in 6 are nothing like the queens really were, except for maybe Catherine Howard. I know that, and that's fine because that's not what the musical's trying to do. But it's fun. And I love the fact that they take these women, all but one of whom are complete footnotes to history, really, and put them forward and put the guy who really is kind of a louse in the background. I love that. I love the way they play with modern music styles. So each queen is sort of associated with a sort of a modern pop style. Like this queen is very Britney Spearsy, and this one's very Adele-y, and this one's very Beyonce-ish. I think that's super creative the way they did that. I think that does a great job of adding to the characters. That is so creative. I love that. I do wonder how well this musical will stand up over time because of that. What happens when Beyonce is passé or Adele is passé? What happens to this musical at that point? I don't know. We'll have to see. But this is just a lot of fun. And it's the Tudors. So, of course, you knew 6 was going to be here, right? And here it is. I saw a touring production of this, but the touring production I saw, Jane Seymour was played by Vanessa Paris, who originated the role in the West End. And the other queens, the other 5 queens, like shortly after the tour left Portland, they all went to Broadway. So I basically saw mostly the Broadway cast, with the exception of the original West End cast. So that's really good. It's great production. So 6. I almost had a chance to see the junior version of 6 this summer, and for some reason we didn't. Mostly because my daughter's friends, she had a friend who was an understudy in it, but none of them were the cast. We always try to go see her friends who are in the cast when they're in the main cast, and it just wasn't. But we were thinking of going to go see it. So of course 6. And number 7. Oh, that was 6 at number 8, and now we're going to number 7. I should have put 6 at 6 just because, but no, 6 is number 8. Number 7 is another, okay, so this was another case of going to see it only because it was part of a season package much earlier than the year that I saw Sound of Music and Gentleman's Guide to Love and Murder. And I really didn't think I'd like this musical because I had seen the movie and didn't like it. And this is Carousel. The movie Carousel is kind of weirdly quaint. Probably because it was put out in the 50s or 60s, and that's what you could do in the 50s or 60s. I get that. But from a modern eye, you're like, huh, okay, yeah, whatever. The production I saw, which was a touring production, but it was based on the 90s production done by Nicholas Heitner and I think the Royal Ballet. Not at all quaint. Like, it's out there, bury your soul on the stage sort of musical. Wonderful. I ugly sobbed in this. Only one other musical has made me ugly sob more than this, and we'll get to it. So powerful. Like that, I mean, like the big song is You'll Never Walk Alone, which should be a really powerful song, but was never powerful to me because I'd only known it from the movie. When I saw the stage production of it, where there was the power of a really good production behind it, just killed me. I know there are productions of Carousel going on around now. I don't know if they're all based from the same one from Nicholas Heitner, but even if they aren't, I'm sure that any modern production of Carousel would do a really good job of it because we're no longer really held by the same, we're not held back like they were in the 50s and 60s. Okay, but super powerful. And I get that that is what Rodgers and Hammerstein were trying to say and just couldn't. I mean, because of constraints put on them at the time. So Carousel. Okay, number 6 is another movie thing where I want to say, even though I think the movie is better than the musical, it's not like Sound of Music where the stage production is just sort of there. I think that this is a natural progression. You had the stage production and now you have, like, this is an enhancement of it. And even though after seeing the movie, the first movie of it, you know what I'm talking about, the first movie of it, I don't really see a need to see the stage production anymore. I do think the stage production still stands on its own. And that, of course, is Wicked. I am also an Oz girly. I love The Wizard of Oz. I have since I was 2. And interestingly enough, I have seen 2 touring productions of the stage production Wicked, and of course, I've seen the movie. The first time I saw it, I had already read the book. I hated the musical. Hated it because I went expecting the book. And for those of you who think the book and the musical are anything alike, let me tell you, the best comparison I can think of is if you've read Halloween Party and you've seen a Haunting in Venice. Like, they say a Haunting in Venice is based on Halloween Party, but it isn't. There's some characters that have the same name and they take place at Halloween, and that's pretty much it. Yes, so know that if you love the musical but you've never read the book, they're very different. If you love the book but have never seen the musical, they're very different. Don't be like me and fall into the trap of not liking it because they're not like each other, because they aren't. Second time I saw it, I only went because my daughter really wanted to see it, and it was her first big professional performance. And I loved it the second time because I already knew what to expect. So I really loved it the second time. I think the movie is fantastic. Like, the movie to me is a perfect movie musical, and I've only seen half of it. The first half, and I do think that is the natural progression of the show. Like, this is the fulfillment of Wicked, but you needed the stage production to get there. Whereas I think they could have just made a movie musical of The Sound of Music, not ever done a stage production. You still would just have The Sound of Music. It would have the same effect. But yes, Wicked deserves everything. Enjoyed Wicked. Okay, number 5, another sentimental one for me. This is the first professional production I saw, and it was a very special production. I was very young when I saw it, because it was the farewell performance of the leading actor, who was very much known for this role. This is The King and I. So when I was little, I saw the touring production with Yul Brynner in this role. Oh, loved it. And I had already seen the movie, so I knew it. And this is a case where I think the movie and the musical are really kind of equal. I will say that. Plus the movie has Yul Brynner in it, and you can't see Yul Brynner on stage anymore because he's dead. But yes, fantastic. It was everything. And he was actually dying of cancer at this time, and he was still a powerhouse. I know I have seen it. I have seen a production since then. There was a revival of it. It had Donna Murphy in it, Broadway. So then I saw the touring production that came after that when I lived in Boston. And I was very worried because obviously it was not going to have Yul Brynner in it. I don't remember the actor who had it. The actor was fantastic. Like, I realized at that point, you don't have to have Yul Brynner in it. Yes, Yul Brynner is very much associated with this role, but you don't need to have Yul Brynner. You need not to have Haley Mills as Anna. I will tell you that, because that was no bueno. Not good at all. But still a strong production. And really an interesting one I saw as older, because I got so much more out of it and what they were saying about colonialism and things like that I just didn't pick up when I was a kid. So definitely, but I will never forget seeing Yul Brynner live playing the King in The King and I. Number 4, another super sentimental one for me. When I was a little child, my mother was in Sweet Adelines. If you don't know what Sweet Adelines is, it's like a women's chorus thing. It's international. They do competitions and stuff. And when I was really little, there was a year where they were doing music from this musical, and I fell in love with the music, and I have loved it ever since. And that is My Fair Lady. I love My Fair Lady. Just earlier this year, I reread Pygmalion as part of Angelia's endless drama. Great play, different. I think they're saying different things, but definitely I think, like, if you love My Fair Lady, read Pygmalion. And if you love Pygmalion, see My Fair Lady. Just do it. The production I saw was a touring production, and Henry Higgins was played by, he just died. What's his name? The guy who was in like Shogun, and I'm going to put his name down here. I can't believe his name just went out. He was in Shogun. He was in all the Thornbirds, you know, that guy, this guy. He played Henry Higgins. He was okay. But I mean, this is not a show that desperately needs a main person, like a really big name in that role. But it was definitely a draw, and it was great to see this production. And I love My Fair Lady. Okay, we're to the top 3. And I will admit, like, I shuffled 10 through 4 around a lot trying to figure things out. There was no question when it came to the top 3. These are my top 3 musicals, and they are in this order. They are. Number 3. Into the Woods. I love Into the Woods. It is just delightful. I have seen the pro shot of it. I have seen a couple stage productions of it. I'm going to let me tell you the stage productions I've seen of it. I have seen the first one I've seen the pro shot, which of the original Broadway cast, which go see that. That's fantastic. Has Bernadette Peters. And then I saw my school's light opera company do it when I was in college. I remember not liking their version of it. I don't remember why I didn't like their version of it, to be honest. But I remember not liking their version of it and being like, oh, they ruined it. But I don't know. The next production I saw was the same regional theater where I saw Joseph and the Amazing Technical Dreamcoat, but luckily it was directed by someone else. And there were things working against it at this one. First of all, that theater, like, they have their own little theater, but in the summer months when they do their big musicals, they do 6 musicals a year. When they do their big musicals, they go to the local high school so they can use their auditorium. That's where we saw Joseph. The year they did Into the Woods, that auditorium was being renovated, so they didn't have access to it. So they had to do it on a smaller stage than they planned. Still was fantastic. They still made it work. It did feel a little cramped, but you know what? It still worked. I forgot that super quickly. The other thing that worked against it at the particular performance I was at was someone had a heart attack in the middle of it, and they had to, like, we got an extra intermission. Kudos to the cast. They stopped it, got everyone out. They took, and the cast just picked right back up. That's a professional cast. So when people talk about regional theater, don't poo-poo it. Those people are professionals. Fantastic. The next production I saw was the junior version. When my daughter was in middle school, the middle school did it, and that's all I'm going to say about that. The junior version, by the way, is just the first act. That same year, the high school did it. They did the whole thing. And it was, okay, this is the way high school musical productions work. You have, the actresses are powerhouses. This is like, they're amazing. belters, they're great actresses, they're great singers. And then you have like one or two male actors who are good, and then you have whatever warm male bodies they can get into the other roles. That's exactly what it is. So clearly there were some challenges there, but it was still great. They did a great staging of it and a great production of it. I know there are productions of it. In fact, I think there's a pro shot of it on either Marquee or Broadway HD of one in London, where they do Into the Woods in the woods, which is fantastic. Yes, there is a movie of Into the Woods. I don't feel as negatively towards it as Katie does. I'm not saying it's good. I just don't hate it as much as she does. Probably because I had heard it was terrible. And then one day my son was watching and I walked through the room and I watched it with him. And it was not as terrible as I thought it would be. It's probably the only time I will say that Meryl Streep is very miscast. Christine Baranski should have been in that role. But it's not horrible. I mean, it's not great. Just not horrible either. But yeah, Into the Woods. Love Into the Woods. Number 2. Saw this as a touring production, but now I can watch it whenever I want. Thank you, Disney Plus. And that, of course, is Hamilton. Yes, Hamilton is it. It is worth everything. Even though I can watch the pro shot of it anytime I want, I would still go see a stage production of it because I think different actors add so much to it. I would love to be able and go see the current Broadway production where Leslie Odom Jr. is back as Burr, just to see the difference between how he was 10 years ago and how he is now. Wonderful, wonderful. I took my husband to see it. I dragged him kicking and screaming. Sorry, of course, my nose is itchy. Kicking and screaming to see it because he insisted he wouldn't like it. And he's still like, it was okay. He liked it. Yes, I appreciate musicals that bring civics and history to the forefront, especially now that civics are things that people are trying to, they either don't teach or they're going to try and teach it as indoctrination and things that aren't accurate. So I like things like that. Incredibly powerful, wonderful Hamilton. I love the fact that it's a racially blind cast. I think that's wonderful. I think it shows that history belongs to everybody, not just white men. Loved it. My husband had a real problem when we saw it, not because George Washington was Asian, but because he was short. My husband wants me to make that very clear. It was because he was short, not because he was Asian. I thought Marcus Choi played George Washington. We thought he was excellent. I did not have a problem with him being short or Asian. But yes, I love the casting of it. The music is just phenomenal, what he did. Lin-Manuel Miranda is definitely on the same level as Sondheim. Some people say he should be on the same level as Andrew Lloyd Webber. I'm saying do not insult Lin-Manuel Miranda. Andrew Lloyd Webber's down here. Lin-Manuel Miranda's up here. And he will be a classic along with Rodgers and Hammerstein. That's it. Number 1, this musical I have seen professional productions more of any time in my life. It is the one musical that makes me ugly cry more than Carousel did. It is the musical that saved my life after the presidential election because it's all I listened to for like 2 months. It is, in my mind, the greatest musical ever written. And I don't see any musical that will ever come close. The only musical that comes close to it is Hamilton. And Lin-Manuel Miranda has even said that if it weren't for this other musical, Hamilton wouldn't exist. And this, of course, is Les Miserables. I have seen it on Broadway. I have seen touring productions of it. I've seen the movie. I've got feelings about the movie. I've seen like the concert versions of it. I have some feelings about some of the concert versions of it too, although I kind of like that they do it. I know there was a big arena tour of it, which I think is kind of cool, that went to like European and Asian countries. I had some things with the casting. I'm not going to get into it because that'll go off on a whole rant. Let me just say, not every actor can play every role, okay? But I love this musical. Love it. I prefer the original staging to the current staging, but that's just me. I took my daughter to see it. That's most recent time. Which we didn't have the best seats, but that's okay. I was going to go see it with my 2 friends, and one of them was my friend Susan, who I lost like a year and a half ago. And this is when she was sick. And so my took my daughter, and it was wonderful to share it with her, but we're going to go see it again with good seats. And probably not the next time it comes, because it is coming to Portland again the next season, but date-wise, it wasn't going to work for us. So I'm definitely going to take her to go see it. And my son and my husband, because I need my husband to sit through it. He refuses to sit through it, so I'm just going to buy him a ticket and make him go see it. This is the most perfect musical. I love it. I love what it says. As I said, I listened to the cast album only for 2 months after the presidential election, because that's all I could deal with. There's nothing like it. There is absolutely nothing like it. And that is the hill I will die on. One of the many hills I will die on, but I will die on that one. That Les Miserables is the most perfect musical ever written. The book is fantastic too. Yeah. And as Katie said in hers, it is a really good adaptation of a frickin' long book. Now, to be fair, as Katie also said, Victor Hugo never saw a tangent he didn't like. So this, you can keep the story down there, but they do a really good adaptation of it. So yeah, definitely. There it is. There are my top 10 musicals plus 2 honorable mentions plus 2 I want to see. Thank you, Katie, for doing this. I will never turn up a chance to talk about musicals, even if I have to film it 3 times. And thank you all. Let me know what your favorite musical is down below. I will forgive you if it's not Les Miserables. I know, even though I do maintain it's the best musical ever written. Like, subscribe, join my Discord. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.